All right, lads, we are back. It's movie night. Three cool picks. And I always try and keep this to the neutral level for both men and women. And I think we've got some three great ones. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? The first movie today, Righteous Kill. Now, you might not even have heard about this movie. Not a lot of people have. And by the way, you have to forgive me here. It's actually very cold this morning here in the studio. Oh, we're getting into the winter months now, lads. Come back, summer. Anyway, okay, right. You know, first movie, Righteous Kill. Lads, I tell you now, when you first hear that Al Pacino and De Niro are teaming up, a lot of people get excited. It's almost like preparing for an event. These are two titans of acting. And the guys, in many ways, changed cinema with The Godfather Part 2, burnt the screen alive with Heat. You've got, Righteous Kill dropped in 2008, lads. The hype it was big. It was really big, and fans were convinced this was going to be the one. This was the matchup we've all been waiting for. And Pacino and De Niro playing two veteran New York cops side by side and chasing down a serial killer. Now, how could that fail? Well, here's a twist. It kind of did. And that's what makes this movie fascinating to revisit, I think, lads. Not because it's flawless, but because it's kind of messy. It's two legends caught in a flawed film. And the irony is, the flaws are what makes it so interesting.
Peter.
Now, we won't be giving anything away here today, but let's just say it's one hell of a twist at the end of this movie. Oh, yeah. And it has the two lads, two detectives, Pacino and De Niro, right? Partners investigating a vigilante who's taken on criminals that slipped through the justice system. And on paper, it's kind of very gritty, very dirty, Harry-ish, in fact. De Niro's character literally quotes Dirty Harry with one line. He says, "There's nothing wrong with shooting as long as the right people get shot." Quote from Dirty Harry. That's lifted from Magnum Force. So the movie wants to tap into that vigilante justice energy, but the problem is the script never matches the talent on screen. Now, even Pacino and De Niro admitted later in interviews that they weren't actually very, very proud of the final cut. I think this is a great show. They said that they almost wanted to forget it ever happened. Like, imagine that. Two of some of the greatest actors alive embarrassed by their own collaboration. That's deep, man. Now, let's rewind a small bit. This technically wasn't their first rodeo together. Right? They had The Godfather Part 2. Sure, it never shared a scene on screen. They had Heat, but we had one 8-minute scene in Heat that was just, oh dear Lord, people were losing their minds over this. But that was just one scene. And, in Heat, two big encounters, two actually, including the legendary scene, but at the end of the movie as well. Okay, you can argue me on that one, but we'll say nothing on that one. But Righteous Kill was the first time Pacino and De Niro would be side by side through the entire runtime. And that's why fans were buzzing. It was a real connection this time. And the original cut of the film was 2 hours long. And after test screenings bombed, right, and they did, can believe that, the studio panicked. They hacked it down to just over 100 minutes. And thinking faster pacing and more action would save it. Instead, what you get a movie that feels like it does feel like it's missing pieces to a degree. You can see it kind of in the editing. The threads don't fully connect. Scenes feel chopped. It's like the movie skeleton is there, but the muscle got torn away. Now, it's still a great movie. Don't get me wrong. You would just probably expect better when you have De Niro and Pacino. You know, where's the all-star lineup of script writers, the directors? They could have done a bit better, but still, guys, definitely worth for movie of the week here. You know, you've got Pacino and De Niro's their banter as old school cops. You know, it's got weight, and you believe they've known each other for decades. You know, and De Niro plays a little colder, Pacino a little looser. You know, it works, and then you sprinkle in weird choices. Carla as De Niro's sex partner, even though she played his daughter 15 years earlier in the boy's life. Kind of weird, but that, you know, kind of threw audiences a little bit, I think. You know, then you've got trivia gold, Donnie Wahlberg and John Leguizamo, I think, pop up as fellow detectives, and during a stakeout scene, you know, they reference the Son of Sam murders, trying Turk's shooting accuracy. And that's dark real-life criminal history baked into the script, lads. And, you know, even UFC fighter Oleg Taktarov, I think that's his name, shows up, and, you know, Wahlberg calls him a grizzly bear. In real life, his nickname was the Russian Bear. And it's these little nuggets that they do make you sit up. You know, and then there's the editing chaos. The deleting scenes actually appear in the trailer, but never in the movie. And it's like you're watching a movie that knows it could have been better, but sabotage itself in the editing room. And that frustration, it kind of bleeds into the performances. Pacino and De Niro do their thing, no question. But you can tell they're pushing against weak material. They really are. Now here's the big emotional punch. Like, De Niro and Pacino, they later did admit that they were disappointed in overall. Overall, they were disappointed. You know, De Niro said he didn't feel proud of it. Okay, Pacino said he even felt unworthy of the audience applause at the end of this movie. Like, that's brutal. Like, now, I get it. These guys are operating at such a high level of performances and acting and scripts that anything less than perfection is not going to be as good. But Righteous Kill, it had to stumble so the Irishman could soar. And isn't that the story of life sometimes, maybe? Sometimes you gotta swing and miss to set up the home run. So why watch this movie, lads? It seems like I'm peeing all over it here, right? I'm not. It's a fascinating time capsule. You've got De Niro, Pacino in the top 5 of all time? Top 10, you could argue, maybe, or top 3, whatever you think. But they're up there right at the pinnacle, lads. And Pacino and De Niro, not at their best, because they got restricted by the script. They couldn't let loose. It was a movie that shows even, well, legends can stumble a bit, and kind of strangely comforting. But knowing Pacino were uneasy about the final product was a bizarre casting choice. And, it's not Heat. It's not The Godfather. It's part of their story. And if you love movies, lads, you've got to see the highs and lows. And because sometimes, I guess, that misfire tells you just as much about the legends as the masterpieces. Now, Righteous Kill, guys, movie of the week. I love this movie. I genuinely do love this movie. But if we're going to get into the real nitpicking detail of the movie, well then, you can dissect it to high heaven here. But it's Pacino, De Niro, not at their best, but certainly at a great level, man. Some actors would even wish they could get to this level that they feed off in this movie. It is definitely recommended. One hell of a twist at the end. Definitely worth it.